It is 9:23 a.m. on December 14th, 2019. I currently remain inside the vehicle at FERN and G, and prior to 6 a.m. is the continuous throwing of items onto the car. Again, the same third parties that plant themselves around me inside of public places like Starbucks, where the ongoing search for the electronic information belonging to a targeted individual, myself, is ceaselessly sought and intended to be stolen, while planes continue to follow the targeted individual, me, everywhere that I go, including following from that establishment, flying over the building while I'm inside and upon my exit. In addition to that, the continuing my documentation in every venue, demonstrating its seamless ability to operate at every place that the targeted individual goes. Those same third parties that are engaged in planning themselves and engaged in the pattern of conduct that I'm openly documenting are the same third parties that plant themselves around my location inside of this car at FERN and G, throwing items at the exterior of the car, which is passive-aggressive hostility. They're cowards that run and disappear if I were to open the door. But regardless of that, this is the same location where the planes continue to serially fly over. This same conduct is used as nonverbal communication, as it does shadow my activity. In addition to that, you have all the elements present with regard to being outside. That's with regard to light and movement. You also have the relevant positioning, pedestrians and people in vehicles alike engaged in crossing path and patrolling. With regard to the nature of being on a street at an intersection where traffic continues to pass, this is, again, tantamount to patrolling, where you're talking about a system, you're not talking about an individual. So with regard to the nature of the relevant positioning and the system in place, this is tantamount to patrolling, being out in a vehicle, which is my situation, and being subject to the constant passing of traffic, which is opportune to the ceaseless search for electronic information. And with regard to the nonverbal communication, the same conduct of throwing items, which serves purposes of harassment and nonverbal communication. This is also speaking to the simultaneous passing by, that's crossing path, of the vehicles that drive directly next to this car that I remain inside. So again, you're talking about the same elements that are present, and this is just my being outside, inside of a vehicle where I remain. So these same third parties are acting in concert with the state that is engaged in stalking, harassment, and surveillance. These third parties are engaged in the same conduct, acting on the part of the state. And in addition to that system is the ceaseless search for electronic information that resides in the targeted individual's communication device. It's 9:26 a.m. and the planes continue to fly over this street and intersection in reaction to what I may be engaged in inside of the car, but also just as a serial part of their stalking, harassment, and surveillance, in addition to the third parties that are engaged in the same conduct. It's December 14, 2019, 9:27 a.m. That's a plane flying west over FERN, in addition to items continuously being dropped on the exterior of the car, in addition to other areas on the car, but the focus now is the back windshield. And again, this is relevant to what they listen to me document about them. It is both a means of monitoring and a means of harassment. It's 10:58 a.m. That's crossing paths. In addition to the third parties that are planted in their cars. That's an airplane flying over while I'm engaged in activity on my phone, and they're using the nonverbal communication, the dropping of items on the car. There is a substantial amount of water on the back of this car. That is because it is a focus, as opposed to what I'm seeing on the ground and what I'm actually hearing outside. I just opened the door again. So it's 1:13 p.m. and this is what I am referring to with regard to the state's use of manipulation not only of light, directing light, and as though it is sunlight when it is not. It's being directed, in addition to focusing on this vehicle and dropping items on it, even water, feigning rain, which I have specifically documented. Because they are not God, I'm able to point out the inconsistencies and the unnatural ways in which it does not line up with what would ordinarily happen if it was in fact sunlight or if it was in fact rain. It's 1:13 p.m. and I am still inside of the car, and so that is what is still occurring. Planes flying over, and the nonverbal communication slash harassment on this exterior of this car. December 14, 2019. The series of images taken between 1:15 to 1:17 are just of the immediate surroundings of the vehicle, and this is to be compared with that which is audibly documented. And the focus, number one, moreover, that is on the rear of the vehicle as I documented this back windshield, which is notably the exact location of where I am inside of the car. You can tell by the collection of water on the back window versus the windshield, for example. This is because the back window is a focus area. This is also where I am located inside of the vehicle. This is also the case with regard to the 3 hours of consistently throwing items at the rear passenger side window, which is not any result of any sort of fake rain. It is impossible for an item to create the sounds that were being created and where rain falls from the sky and will not result in the making of noise on the passenger side window, which was focused on the driver's side back door where I am laying, where I was sleeping. The focus is on me. This is the pattern that is at play. In addition to that, with regard to I've spoken about this before, but just connecting the dots, where rain falls vertically, parallel to the position of the door. It's not falling down on the window. It's actually falling in a direction parallel to the position of the door and the window. And so you have the creation of noise by items being thrown at the window as opposed to falling from the sky by some alleged, presumed cause of rain. This is not the case, in addition to the fact that it was focused on that window. So now you have the focus on the back window, and again, the collection of water on that back window versus, for example, the windshield, in addition to the absence of rain as is reflected in my photographs, and in addition to the fact where the state is listening right now and they stop dropping the water. It is a means of harassment. It is a means of nonverbal communication. It does shadow my conduct. This is the same P.O.C. that I am documenting inside of the public places. And in addition to that, based on the state's invasion of privacy, based on the state's deliberate efforts to try to exert some effort to try to duplicate and or contradict, which is impossible because the pattern remains, but all they do is engage in varying from that which they listen to me document, or duplicating that which they listen to me document, as though that is some suggestion that it's not a pattern or something, or that it's something that they ordinarily engage in, unless they are trying to suggest that they ordinarily engage in following American citizens at every city and county and intersection and grocery store and cafe that they go to. I do not see how that is tenable at all, especially under the law. Anyway, that's just the main example of the futile ways in which this entity that I'm documenting is in a corner It is, and it is so pathetic. And as I sit in this car and they listen to me document, they continue to engage in the cyclical conduct. And so this is very highly relevant with regard to assessment of this system and assessment of the principal, the state, the government that I am prosecuting based on this very conduct. It's 1:23 p.m. and I remain inside of the vehicle, and this is just documenting the inconsistencies with regard to the quote-unquote rain, which is not the first time I'm documenting it, but this is just another day of the same. It's December 14th, 2019. Flying right behind this car on FERN, 127. My documentation of the sound of sirens at 134 is relevant. That is P.O.C. with regard to my identification of that within the overall pattern of conduct. The sound of sirens that came from the west side of my location over here at FERN, it coincided with my action of reviewing items on my phone. This is pursuant to the ongoing monitoring. This is relevant to the state's invasion of privacy, the use of nonverbal communication, etc. All of these tools, if you will, with regard to the state organized system of stalking, are connected to that, and the sirens are used to that end. In addition to the sirens as used for harassment, as I have documented, and also engaging in the P.O.C. with regard to the search of electronic communication information in the targeted individual's communication device. Those are the that was 134 that the sirens sounded simultaneous to my reviewing audio, which the state is listening to me make every move. So the sound of sirens immediately sounded, and they stopped also, less than 3 seconds of sirens. It's 1:37 p.m., just noting the significance of that documentation. Now, what I want to point out about that is a plane flying west behind this car while I am in here changing clothes. So they're listening to every move and every what they might deem to be based on their steady studying and stalking and surveillance. Any sudden move that would cause them to engage in the flying over, because that is pursuant to their ongoing search with regards to the airplanes. So while I am in here, it is not a coincidence that they're flying over while I'm engaged in changing my clothes. Okay, particularly putting on my blue jeans in the back seat of this car. This is to be analyzed in addition to what I'm documenting just this morning with regard to their focusing on the back area of this car, the driver's side back seat and the back windshield. This is highly relevant with regard to what I'm alleging against the state and the disgusting conduct that they're engaged in. So with regard to a targeted individual who has no privacy, this violation follows them into every bathroom, follows them into whatever room that they are under the false assumption that there is some sense of privacy. It does not exist. It is a fallacy. It's an illusion when you are a targeted individual subject to this system of state stalking and harassment. And mainly part of that system is the seeking out of electronic information in their communication device, the means by which are unimaginably intrusive, right? So I'm inside of the car. It's 1:59 p.m., and that's what I want to highlight about that, is that it occurred as I'm in the midst of getting dressed in the back of this car, and that's not a coincidence. Starbucks harassment, P.O.C. This is the second time within 2 days someone approaches the restroom. Yesterday it was a Starbucks employee, or those that portray themselves as those employees. They're wearing the aprons and they're preparing drinks. And this is the second time I'm inside the restroom, and they are attempting to open the door when it's clearly displayed as being occupied. That's the first thing you look at the door. It's the first thing I see. So it is a deliberate act and not a coincidence that this is the second time that it has occurred at the Starbucks at 706 West Hall. It's 2:30 p.m. This is pursuant to the harassment of the targeted individual at the third-party establishment. That is sound of the third individual trying the codes on the door. This is P.O.C. This is the gang stalking aspect. This is what they do. They try to engage in the same conduct over and over again to try to make it seem as though it is normal. So again, I will go ahead and connect the dots. It is not a coincidence that once I verbally identify it as what it is, harassment, suffered at a third-party establishment, which is pursuant to the ongoing pattern of conduct as I have documented it at this Starbucks in Ontario, that it is repeated, it's immediately followed, number one, today, but number two, that I documented with an employee yesterday, and then it occurs again today on the next day, and immediately within less than 5 minutes it occurs again. This is P.O.C. with regard to the invasion of privacy. With regard to the state's attempt to try to duplicate factual circumstances, and it is still highly relevant as harassment. It is the same harassment P.O.C. So nonetheless, regardless of the state's attempt, it is very relevant with regard to harassment. And this is at Starbucks, and this is 2:34. So within minutes of the last one that I documented. Different face, same entity, same agent. 2:35 p.m. This is just documenting. I'm seated at the same position at the table this would be the south end of the building at Starbucks, 706 West Holt, and it's 2:49 p.m., but at 2:44 p.m., and I will capture it in image. It's substantially the same position and the same P.O.C. I just want to document as of December 14th, 2019 at 2:44 p.m. Following the incidents documented inside of the restroom, there was the prominent flashing of light on both sides, so that would have been on the side aligned with San Antonio, parallel to San Antonio, and coming from the parking lot. This is while I was looking down, reading material in one of my written documentation journals, and this was in concert with a third party that deliberately walked past, which is crossing paths, and then the flashes. So this is the simultaneous positioning and use of enhanced light. And so that was at 2:44 p.m., just documenting what is occurring inside of the Starbucks, same P.O.C. with third parties. And it also speaks to the comprehensive search that occurs with regard not only in the drive-thru, not only with the third-party employee and patrons, but also with the third parties that are circling on the streets, right? Also across the street in the parking lot. They're using technology. So these near walls and windows it's a superficial barrier. It is no obstacle for the use of their communication devices in the search for electronic information. So it is 2:50 p.m. Okay, the images taken are another demonstration of the same criminal conduct. So you have the weirdos that I took a picture of in front of me that is in relevant position to my location. And in addition to the coward that was facing the window, the one I took a picture of after he engaged in the flashing conduct, I took a picture of they are weirdos, so they're third parties, so I'll refer to them clinically. And so he was in front of me, and that's relevant positioning, and so that was the enhanced use of light as well. And I also took the image of the drive-thru because that is crossing path. So this is just another method of engaging in the same P.O.C. That was the flashing on the CD, that is crossing path. That is within relevant position as well. The cars in the drive-thru surround the building. Each representative of a communication device in relevant position to the targeted individual. All elements are present, and so that is P.O.C. So what I captured, again, are third parties that were engaging with the flashing, which is characteristic specifically of this particular venue, but it is demonstrative of basically an enhanced use of the element of light in the ceaseless search for electronic information. And again, that was at that was the images that I took at 7:37, I believe. And that's what I'm just making sure I'm wrapping up and connecting the dots of what I'm capturing. So you have them using the lights outside or using sparking flashing lights from outdoors and having them crossing path indoors, or having them flashing lights at indoors and then crossing path outdoors. So that is a P.O.C. off day. Same as just trying to, actually it's helping me with regard to configuring the same P.O.C. in several different manners. None of this is an obstacle to that which I have laid out as elements in the overall state organized system of stalking and harassment. What it is also illustrative of is how the weirdos sit around. These are planted third parties remaining in relevant position, engaging in systematic participation in this conduct over and over and over again. And in addition to that, this is analogous to what the targeted individual experiences at every single venue with regard to specifically what I document inside of the car, but at every other place too where I've documented the same P.O.C. It's 7:40 p.m. Okay, the image is taken at 8:43 p.m. denote the ongoing attempt to try to manipulate my phone, in addition to the simultaneous flashing, sparking of the weirdo third parties that are standing in relevant positions to me in front of the Starbucks where I am right now at the table. I just logged off the Starbucks Wi-Fi, and again, they are planted around in relevant position, engaged in the ongoing search, hence the enhanced light usage, in addition to the attempt to try to manipulate my phone. I caught images of all of that. It's 8:43 p.m., and I am still at the Starbucks. The images was taken at the Stater Brothers, located at 646 Holt Boulevard in Ontario. It is denoting the elements that are at play in the grocery store. You have the automatic opening doors. And you also have the positioning of the vehicles in the parking lot in front of the entrance door, and that's what I captured. Third parties sitting inside of their car. There were two vehicles with their headlights positioned at the doorway where I was standing, and one of the vehicles rapidly drove off, but that is a picture of the elements at work inside of the grocery store, entering and exiting, standing in the grocery line. It is perfectly feasible, especially with regard to the awareness of the state's, of my identification of the state's pattern of conduct, and so the ways in which that those elements are at play in the grocery store, and that's what my picture is to capture upon my exiting out the store after making my purchase.